Hi, this is Molly.
And Cody,
the host of Over the Fence True Crime Podcast.
Please join us as we talk about true crime in the most normal place in the world.
Over the fence.
To be specific, over our backyard fence. We're both moms of humans and of dogs. We live directly next door to each other and share many conversations about life and family, but mostly true crime over our backyard fence.
And we invite you to come learn more about true crime and, well, us. We give a lot of attention to California true crime, but have ventured throughout the U.S. and even across the pond and plan to continue our world domination in the near future.
Listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, or give us a follow on Instagram at overthefence_podcast. So grab a drink and talk with us.
Over the Fence.
Hey, I'm Kristin.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is Locked in a Closet.
Join us as we tell each other stories of true crime, the paranormal, urban legends, and all things spooky. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
It's March.
Oh my God.
We're one step closer to spring.
No more winter. Oh my God.
Except for here in Ontario, we're just getting railed with snow. So
it'll probably be winter until like June.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
That's how it always feels. Like, there's always that like one last snow in like May or April, and you're just like, just let it be.
Yeah. It never stays though, which is good. But
yeah,
it's still just like, oh, we're so close.
I know. And I have friends back in BC, and they sent me pictures of like crocuses coming out of like their lawn, and I'm like, fuck you, I have like 4 feet of snow.
I know, it's ridiculous. Oh my God, your Instagram story today was funny with your dogs.
Oh my God, yeah, we have so much snow in our backyard right now. It's like, and we have fairly large dogs that it's basically is deep, like all you can see is like their neck at sometimes when they're in there. It's so funny.
Insane. Also, like, why would they want to go?
They love it.
Snow.
God, they love it, which is, I mean, makes the snow more interesting for me, luckily.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it makes it worth it. But
I've never been a winter person, but like a winter where we can't even have like friends over for game nights. I'm just what do I do? Like, there's nothing to do.
I truly feel like we're in a hibernation. Like, there's nothing you can do. It's just stay at home. And I've watched so much TV. Oh, I know. God,
I know. I was very excited yesterday. I looked at Netflix and season 12 of Drag Race was put on. And I was like, I have something new now.
Yeah. I know, it's getting to the point now where like anything Netflix suggests to me, I'm like, fine,
give it a try.
Yeah. You usually haven't thrown me off yet.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. I can't even remember what I've been watching. Oh, I watched that one show, the Surviving Death, I think.
I want to watch that so bad. I haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah, I watched it I think last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I mean, some of it was a little like, okay, whatever, but some of it I was like, ooh, this is good. Like, they were talking like kids that remember their like past lives.
And
that's
so
always been so interesting to me. Like, I love that. So that part was really good.
I think I saw someone talk about it probably on like TikTok, and I was like, okay. And I had just finished binging all the seasons of I Shouldn't Be Alive on Amazon Prime, and I love a good survivor story. Oh my God. And then so when I saw Surviving Death, I thought it was like the same like idea, but it's not. It's like more spiritual. But yeah, I'll definitely watch that before our next episode, because I know next episode we're talking about like mediums,
like psychic-y stuff,
psychics and stuff. So I'll make sure to watch that. I've just been rewatching Dexter, because they're coming out with a new like little mini series. So and honestly, it doesn't hold up the way I remember it.
You know what? We started watching it. It was before we moved, I think. So like maybe like September, October last year. And I loved Dexter when it was, well, not even when it was out. I watched it after it was already finished.
So did I.
But I loved it. Like, it was so good. And we started watching it. I think we got like 2 seasons in and then just kind of lost interest, which is sad because I loved it so much.
Yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. But like, I've got not much else going on, so I'm just continuing to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, this doesn't hold up the way I remember. Maybe it's just because I know how shitty it ends.
Well, and it's also just really weird to think about, like, Dexter and Deb were married in real life.
Yes.
Like, that's all I can think about. I'm like, ew, they were playing siblings.
And then they do have that weird season where like they're kind of sexual. Like, I know they're not actually brother and sister in the story.
Yeah.
But I think if you grow up with someone and call them your sister, like,
you consider them your sibling. Yeah, like it's weird.
So I remember that one. I can't remember which season it is because I'm not there yet. But there's that one season where like they're weirdly sexual together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, it was great. I'm glad I enjoyed it the first time around, but I don't know that I could watch the whole thing again, especially not the last episode. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna try and finish it because I want to be caught up for when this mini series airs.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for it, but I'm like, what is it gonna be like? How are they gonna undo all the shitty ending that they did?
Like how are they gonna come back from that? I don't know. No idea. I don't know if you heard, but we put a little teaser at the beginning of this for friends of the show.
Friends of our show. Go take a listen to their podcast because they are totally up our alley. Similar vibes. Like, for sure. Two friends who just love true crime. Like,
it's awesome. I'm jealous that they live right beside each other.
I know.
We live on opposite sides of the city.
Although, even if we did live beside each other, I'm pretty sure we'd still be doing Zoom.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, please go take a listen to their podcast and support them. And they're going to be supporting us back, which is great. And it's nice to have some allies in the podcast world.
For sure. It's like we're a real show. Look at
us.
Oh
my God. Look at us.
Making friends.
It makes me think of that Paul Rudd quote where he's like, look at us. Look at us. Have you heard that one?
From
I think it's like the Wings one.
Yeah.
That's funny. Speaking of murder, that's today's topic.
That is today's topic. A close to home murder episode.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I was gonna cover the Dexter copycat murder, I think in like Alberta. But you had said you were doing an Ottawa story. So I was like, no, I'm gonna pivot. We're gonna do hometown stories, or Ottawa at least.
Yeah.
Today.
It's a rough one.
So is mine.
Yeah. Oh.
I almost, as I was like mid writing it, I was like, do I want to? Like, it's so easy to talk about true crime and murder when it feels so far away. But like to know that like some of the victims' families, you know, still might live in Ottawa.
I was worried about that too. And then I actually like when I was that's not even a thing. When I was just about finished all my research, the girl's stepmom actually wrote a book about it. So I was like, okay, like if she's comfortable like talking about it and like the family's okay with it, then I mean, obviously she did nothing wrong. I'm not going to sit here and bash her. Like she was like a victim that randomly, whatever. Anyway, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Talking about it.
I think as long as, we try to remain as respectful as we can during these true crime episodes, and we just contain our silliness and our jokes to, you know, the ghosts and the more like urban legend weird stuff, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're definitely trying to tiptoe around the really rough subject.
Exactly.
But yeah. Anyway.
But we also don't want to like just bum everybody out. So like I will make
100%.
fun of the, you know, the bad people involved.
Yeah. And if we're laughing, we're obviously not laughing at the victims.
Yeah, it's
not
more
horrible
of
people.
Uncomfortable laugh of
100%. That's what it is. That's what we do when we're nervous. We laugh.
Oh my God. I also yawn when I'm nervous.
Me too.
Really? I've never met anyone else. Oh my God.
I yawn when I'm nervous.
And it's so bad because it makes you look so bored with whatever's going on. But you're like, that's just my tick. That's
like job interviews. If you yawn, like that's great. But yeah, I yawn all the time in job interviews. I'm just like,
I'll never forget like high school convocation. Like who cares? It's high school. But like walking across the stage and like trying to stifle a yawn.
All the pictures of you with like your mouth like
yeah, exactly. I'm so bored.
What is wrong with Ashley?
I graduate so often, like and then I did it at both of my university ones, but I was like, just turn away. I looked like I hate it.
So funny.
All right, so I am covering the murderous one-day rampage of Basil Borutski. Is his name Basil? I refer to him as Borutski throughout the whole thing, and I'm regretting it because it's such a hard last name. So I might interchange Borutski and Basil.
That's fine.
Yeah. So for my sources, most of actually all my information came from this like incredible article from CBC News written by Kristin and Ashley. It was so well laid out and so thorough.
There's nothing better than a
thank
real
God
good
for
article.
that. Yeah. But I also got information from a YouTube series by the Ontario Provincial Police called Serial Instinct through an OPP investigation lens. Yeah. So it was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And then another CTV news article. So a couple other ones. But and trigger warning. This case actually involves a lot of domestic violence, unfortunately. So if that's something that bothers you, you might want to skip ahead. Also, CBC calls it one of the worst cases of domestic violences in Canadian history.
Oh my God.
That's just CBC saying it, so I don't know how true that is, but it is pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so to start, on September 9th, 2019, the OPP, which if you're, it's fairly recent, hey?
How did I have never heard about this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Well, it's okay. It happens like in the Ottawa Valley, which isn't exactly in Ottawa, but yeah. So the OPP, which if you're unfamiliar with Canada or Ontario, is the Ontario Provincial Police, which is confusing for people who aren't from Canada because it's like they're not the RCMP, but they are also police officers. We have like separate, I don't know how to describe it. Like we have separate laws, like not laws. Yeah, it's like jurisdictions. Like where I used to live in BC, we had a private police department. It was like Port Moody Police. And then like the town over had RCMP. So BC's
because we have like Ottawa Police too. And then there's also OPP and then there's also RCMP.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
They all essentially do the same thing. And I don't know how much they work together. They must, but
yeah, I don't know.
Here in Ottawa, at least, or at least in Ontario, we have OPP. Anyway, so the OPP released a series of YouTube videos, like true crime sort of style videos with some of like their more, I don't want to say gruesome cases, but something like that, which basically they wanted to show like how much work they put in or how much work actually goes into solving cases and how cases are solved or how these cases were solved. And I watched them and I thought they were actually really well done and super interesting. But unfortunately, there was a lot of backlash, especially for this case specifically, because a women's organization in Ottawa Valley said that this case shouldn't be involved in their videos because it sensationalizes violence against women. So I want to be very clear with my intentions to cover this case because it is absolutely not to sensationalize violence against women at all. And rather, I just want to use this time to explain the case, explain the monster who killed these women, and give them a voice and, not let them be forgotten. I think it's easy for us to forget that violence against women, domestic or not, happens more regularly than we think. And, perhaps we can continually learn what red flags to look for.
For sure.
Not just for our protection, but for others. Like, you may see something happen to a friend or a neighbor and you could notice signs and perhaps save their life by saying something. So I will be talking about this case with love and respect for the victims and using the case to educate. That's all. I'm not trying to sensationalize violence against women because I don't believe in that.
No. And like going forward, that's never our what's the word I'm looking for?
Our intention. I think our intention is more educational, and especially because not a lot of people talk about cases in Canada. It's hard, they're harder to find, but it happens here.
I feel like it's not as like sensationalized as it is in the States, which sounds kind of horrible, but like all the huge serial killers that you think of, they're all American.
Yeah, it's true, right? But there's like obviously a few Canadian ones. And this guy, he wasn't even given like a name. I feel like they could have named him something. Yeah.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't even want to humor him with a name, but like they could have named him like the blank of blank blank or like
like the Zodiac or like the
the three murder killer or whatever. I don't know. I'm really bad at them. But yeah. Okay, so on to the case now. Early September 22nd, 2015, the OPP dispatch received a 911 call from Wilno, Ontario. The caller claimed a man had broken into her and her sister's house and shot her sister at point blank. The caller fled the house, running for her life, assuming the man was coming for her next. 30 minutes later, they receive another distressing call from a young man in a town called Foymount in Ontario. He claims he watched a man chase his mother around her house before finally shooting her. The son also fled the scene, running for his life. Later on, a third call comes in with a third shooting victim. However, there were no witnesses to this one. The OPP quickly determined that all three murders had been committed by the same man, and they had an active shooter situation on their hands. At 7:36 a.m. that morning, Borutski left his apartment in camouflage pants and a camouflage hat, carrying an old sawed-off shotgun. He was going hunting. He borrowed his neighbor's car, tried to fill it with gas at the gas station as the gas light was on, but the gas station was closed. He then proceeded on to his first victim of the day, 66-year-old Carol Culleton. They had been in a relationship years ago, and he had been in and out of her life since then. On her way to retiring, after her longtime partner passing from cancer, she was preparing to sell her cottage to downsize. Borutski had offered to help her prepare the cottage to sell by doing various renovations for cheap so she could save money. This renewed friendship did not last, however. Carol began venting to friends that Borutski would start new projects before finishing others and basically just taking over her cottage from her. And he would also just often show up unannounced. One time, he even tore up all the flowers she had planted after she supposedly sat on another man's knee in front of him.
Oh my God, you don't own her.
Right? I feel like that needs to be tattooed on every woman's face. You don't own me. And they're not together.
No.
They were together at one point. Like, yeah. So just all around, he's being really weird and like exhibiting really strange behavior. But the final straw for her was when he showed up to her house in like a rural South Ottawa address that she was 100% certain she had never given to him.
Oh my God.
And he tried to say like, oh no, it was like on a business card you gave me. And she's like, I don't think so.
Home address?
Yeah, right? Like what?
Yeah, no.
So friends, after she told them about that, they tried to warn her that she was being stalked, and she probably was.
Mm-hmm.
And the day before the murder, Carol had apparently gotten back together with like an old like ex-boyfriend, I guess, as she says to Borutski in a text message. And that text message sent him into a spiral, basically. He just berated her with like 15 text messages asking for an explanation, which Carol only replied to just saying, please stop. Like, leave me alone, basically. And he just kept sending them. So then later on that evening, he sent a few more texts ranting that she now owed him money for his labor, and stating, I will endure the betrayal of yet another false friend, ... I all fill ... Like, I think these are like things being redacted
Right.
from the text message. Everyone else is in on the true you. Karma will take over. So very unhinged text message, right? Like that would worry me. Especially when people start saying karma will take over.
Yeah, like that's just not normal.
Yeah. So the next morning, Carol was the first of his 3 victims. He arrived at her cottage where she was alone. He confronted her, asking why she hated him and why she was doing this to him. She simply just closed the door on him, locked it. But he then broke the window in the door and unlocked the door and like opened it. And he claims she pled, "This is not you, Basil," like over and over again as he shoots her. He sticks around long enough to smoke a cigarette, which he then disposes in her kitchen sink, goes through her purse, takes her keys. He then leaves behind the neighbor's car because, as I mentioned before, it was almost out of gas. But he leaves $100 bill inside for gas for the neighbor. So very considerate.
Thoughtful.
How thoughtful of him. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote, so like considerate for such an awful human being. What?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So he steals her car and he goes on to his next victim. Unfortunately, there was no one around to witness this crime and call it in. So Borutski was in the clear basically to continue his rampage. No one had known what was going on or that she was even dead. Yeah, so truly, truly vile stuff. It's really unfortunate that this woman who thought she was just rekindling like an old friendship was being like manipulated the whole time, which sad and scary. And I'm sure Borutski thought that if he did all this work for her, she would like fall back in love with him. Like she owed him something, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's why I honestly I have a hard time with like letting anyone do anything for me because it's like I don't want to owe anyone anything.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. His second victim, 36-year-old Anastasia Kuzyk, it's Kuzyk. She was only a 30-minute drive away from his previous victim. Anastasia was also a former girlfriend of Borutski, who he dated shortly after his relationship with Carol ended. Another woman who Borutski had previously dated like years ago had actually gotten in contact with Anastasia and warned her about him. Which I feel like someone warns you. There's like one of two things that could happen. You could either think they're like a jealous bitch and just be like back off, or you could be like, oh, maybe they're being sincere.
Yeah, like there has to be a reason.
Right? because I could see there are, not just men aren't just crazy. Like there's crazy women. So
yeah. And sometimes if you're in a new relationship, you're so excited about it that like you don't want to hear anything bad about your new partner. Like,
and especially when it's new, they're usually on their best behavior. So you don't believe it. You're like, no, I think you're wrong. However, I'm assuming she initially didn't listen, as the relationship ended rather violently on December 30th, 2013, when Borutski assaulted Anastasia by choking her and then trashing her house, essentially.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he was actually convicted for this in September of 2014, and he was put in jail, but he was released that December. So like not even 3 months he was in jail for that. But he did have a 2-year probation and a lifetime weapons ban, which clearly didn't stick because he has a sawed-off shotgun. Although he did say, I didn't include this anywhere else, so I'll just mention it now. He did say he actually found that shotgun in like a junkyard in like an old motorhome. That is, it's not like he went out and bought a gun and, the rules failed us. He just managed to find a gun, unfortunately. So clearly this was his likely motivation for killing Anastasia, was the fact that she put him behind bars at one point. So he arrived at her door at 8:45 a.m. Her sister, who was apparently upstairs, heard Anastasia scream and came running down to investigate. There she found her sister laying on the floor in the kitchen, and a man was like poorly hiding behind a door. "It's Basil," Anastasia whispered to her sister. So her sister ran to confront Borutski, but he had already slipped outside to his stolen vehicle, and he was on his way back up the driveway with a shotgun in his hands. So before she could even really realize he had shot at them, or she heard a shot, and so she just ran for her life out of the house. Inside, Borutski confronted Anastasia, asking why she had lied in court, to which she responded that she didn't. He then shot her there as he was tired of her lies, as he said.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like the more I get into this, like the other murders and stuff, I think he's like delusional. Like he does not think he does anything wrong, which is insane. Yeah, I say here, I truly wonder if he thinks he didn't do anything wrong at all. Because especially when in the confession later on, he actually refuses to say that he murdered anyone. He won't use the word murdered. He'll say killed. Because I guess murder in the Bible...
But you still can't kill people.
I know, right? Because
it's still not okay.
He does say like one of the commandments is thou shalt not murder or whatever. And it doesn't say kill. And like murder implies that you're killing someone innocent and that these women weren't innocent. Like that's how his brain was justifying this. And he showed absolutely no remorse. No remorse. It's disgusting. So finally, though, despite Carol's body still not being discovered yet, the police had finally had a suspect for the 2 murders, as Anastasia's sister managed to escape, and then she called 911, and her sister had told her it was Basil. Borutski, however, moved on to his 3rd and final victim, who was 48-year-old Natalie. I really hope I'm saying that right.
I think that's just Natalie, but the French spelling.
That's what I was going to ask, because I want to say Natalie, but it's got the TH. So I'm like, Natalie. I'm going to say Natalie, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. So Natalie Warmardam in Foymount. He had actually lived with Natalie in this house for several years during their relationship together. But of course, like all the rest of his relationships, it did not last. And in 2012, it promptly ended. So timeline's a little confusing because the first 2 women he killed were kind of who he dated in succession. But I believe Natalie was someone he dated before all the other women he killed. Just by going by dates. So their relationship promptly ended as he caused, and this is quoting, I don't know what this means in RCMP terms or police terms, mischief to her property. I'm assuming trashed it.
Probably, if he did it to somebody else.
Exactly. And then threatened to kill her dog and hurt her son, which I think she had from a previous marriage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he was convicted for that and put into jail for about less than a month, and then was put on,
my God.
And then he was put on a 2-year probation from that, which is what he broke when he assaulted his next girlfriend, Anastasia. So I think that's when she pressed charges against him for the choking. That's why he went to jail, especially. But he was only in jail for like 3 months then as well. That's and ridiculous. Then on another probation. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's tough because like all the interviews I saw, they basically said like he should have been locked up, but there's laws against stuff like that when you don't have Like, you can't just lock people up on a hunch that they're going to do something bad.
Yeah.
So Natalie was actually prepared, though. It's almost like she kind of knew something bad was going to happen. After he moved out, she installed surveillance around her home. She had a panic button in her house, and she slept with a shotgun under her bed.
Oh my God. So she must have known.
Right? Must have been paranoid. Like, I feel like the abuse was more than what it was that ended the relationship.
Yeah.
And while unfortunately this did not save her life, it actually did capture Borutski and entering her home, which helped give evidence against his case.
Mm-hmm.
So at 9:31, he enters Natalie's house where she was home with her 20-year-old son. Her son claims that he saw his mother run through the house being chased by Borutski, who was holding a shotgun. So immediately he gets up and leaves. He flees because he knows nothing's good is going to come from this. And while on his way out the door, he hears the gun go off. So he ran. Yeah, like heartbreaking, right? He runs and he hides in a bush and he calls 911 from his cell phone. And he remains hidden, laying on his stomach in the bush for over an hour, waiting for the police to arrive. Could you imagine?
An hour.
Just
God.
Scared to death. That's not, like, you know, I would assume obviously that the guy's going to come out and try and find me, right?
Yeah.
Like, as a witness. Fuck that. Oh, that would be terrifying. Like, my heart goes out to, like, not only the victims' families, but like those that were there to watch and literally had to run for their lives. And the guilt, like, oh, the guilt.
That's so sad.
Mm-hmm. By Borutski's account, he actually didn't even give her a chance to explain herself like he did the other two victims. I think at this point he was so like desensitized by the last two murders, he simply walked in the door where he chased her around the house before finally shooting her. He actually even admits later to the police that he wasn't even pulling the trigger at that point. The gun was just going off, and I quote, he said, like, boop.
Oh,
so,
my
like,
God.
I don't think mentally he was even there anymore.
No, he must have just checked right out.
Yeah. So after murdering Natalie, he continued on to kill again. Thankfully, though, his intended target, a person he simply dubbed the Fat Man, was not where Borutski assumed he would be. So he goes and he drives to this sawmill where he, I guess, assumes this guy is. This Fat Man, because there's no real name it really gives, had apparently, this is the explanation that was on the article, and it said this Fat Man had apparently sold backhoes to Natalie and some other people. Like, I don't know what the beef is with this guy.
Yeah, like, who cares?
Yeah, maybe he like ripped her off or ripped him off. I don't know.
But if you, I don't know.
But it was enough he wanted to murder this guy.
Yikes.
Which is crazy. So he asked around the sawmill and no one really knew where he was. So Borutski ended up just leaving. By this time, though, Carol's body was actually finally discovered by a real estate agent who was going to be listing the cottage and called it in to the police, where this is when OPP determined that there was an active shooter and all the surrounding towns in the Ottawa Valley kind of went into lockdown. The police managed to actually track his cell phone to a rural field in like East Ottawa. And then apparently he was also texting his brother, admitting to his crimes, claiming it wasn't his fault and that the women were the guilty ones. And his brother actually had been cooperating with the police. So it was like a negotiator had taken over his brother's phone and was trying to negotiate for him to give himself up. So here's some of the excerpts from the text. This just helps you get a look in the side of this guy's mind. It's just... And a lot of this, when I say ... I'm assuming it's like redacted stuff because it's not there. But it's like, he goes, helicopter is circling. I'm in ... bush. Yes, I did it. They took my life away on me. I was innocent of every charge ever laid against me. I'm assuming that's when he's talking about all the times he went to jail for domestic abuse. The guilty have paid. Justice finally. I'm tired. If they would have just listened to me, none of this would have happened. I was not guilty. The system destroyed me. I have nothing left. And murder is killing something innocent. I didn't.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, he had no remorse. No remorse.
Yeah.
And he blamed his victims for their deaths and him murdering them. And he denied murdering anyone. And it's just revolting. Just sick. And like, those women tried to do everything they could. Like, they did everything they went to the proper authorities. They put him in jail. Like, I don't know how much more they could have done to protect themselves at that point.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah. And like, he was in such denial that he did anything wrong. Like, it was their fault. So finally, he actually did end up surrendering to the police, who were already like surrounding him in that field. And he was taken in. He talked a lot during his interrogation, saying like he was very open. Like, I think that's where a lot of this article comes from, is because during his interrogation, he just said exactly everything that happened. And he said a lot of similar things, like what he said to the text in the text messages with his brother. He quoted the Bible a lot. Yeah. And he just generally tried to justify his actions against these poor women. So during the trial and his psychiatric assessment, he actually just remained silent the whole time. So I don't know where suddenly he got shy.
Yeah, really.
And he would actually just sit there either with his eyes closed or his head back, just wasn't paying attention, didn't care, was so tuned out. And eventually he was found guilty of 2 first-degree murders for the murders of Anastasia and Natalie, and a second-degree murder charge for the murder of Carol. I'm not sure why all 3 aren't considered first-degree, because I'm pretty sure he set out to kill all those women. And had a plan.
That's really weird.
I'm assuming there was no witness at Carol's, the first murder. So, and then, you know, the way he described it, I guess they could say that like he killed her out of anger because they got into a fight.
Okay.
But either way, he's not eligible for parole for at least 70 years. Thank
Good.
God. So I hope he rots and dies there.
Yeah.
So that is the awful, awful, horrible story of 3 poor women being brutally murdered.
I can't believe I've never heard of that. Like, it's pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, I have an excuse. I'm not from here. I didn't live here during that time. But
yeah. I did. And it's pretty close.
It's not that. I mean, you know, they say Ottawa Valley or like Renfrew County or whatever. Like, it's not that far from us. Like,
yeah, it's right by Barry's Bay, the Wilno, Ontario. It's right by Barry's Bay. Yikes!
And they're all like all the little locations were so close to each other. Like, he just managed to get in and murder 3 women so quickly before the police could even react.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I had no idea that happened in Ottawa, and I was researching, and I was like, oh my God, like, how is this not? No one talks about this.
Yeah, that's crazy. I literally can't believe that.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So again, you know, we talked about domestic violence in that last true crime episode, but it's serious. And if it's happening to you, you know, reach out
to somebody for sure. Okay. Well, these ones are sad.
I know.
So hard to like, okay, well, my turn. I'm going to do the story of Jennifer Teague. I'll just go over my sources real quick, I guess. So Wikipedia, obviously. There was an article from CTV News Ottawa from 2015 that I used. There was an article from the Ottawa Citizen from September 2018. And then there was another article from the Ottawa Citizen from January 2008. So September 8th, 2005, 18-year-old Jennifer Teague began walking home from her night shift at Wendy's in Barrhaven, which is
very close to me. That's so close.
Yeah. Apparently, she met up with some friends around 1 o'clock at a local Max, which is a convenience store. If you're not from here, I don't know if they're.
We have Max in BC. I mean, they're not anymore. I think there's like one, but
yeah, we don't have very many here anymore. They're all Circle K's.
Yeah, you guys don't. Okay, I know we're talking about serious things. There's no 7-Elevens in Ottawa.
No,
what?
I don't have
7-Elevens. What do I get a Slurpee from? I want a Slurpee so bad.
You can get a Froster at Circle K.
What's
good?
Is it like a Slurpee?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay, I
have banana and it's really good.
Because I'm pregnant, I'm actually really craving. I know it's like cold and snowing, but I'm like, I just want a freaking Slurpee, and there's no 7-Elevens.
Yeah, they have Frosters at Max or Frosters, whatever. And it's just like an iced like slushy.
Yeah, slushy. Yeah, that's all I want.
And they have like Coke. I used to always get Coke and also banana when I was a kid.
Oh, I mix all the flavors. Yeah. No, I go down the line. I mix all the flavors.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You can go get one. Or you can send Jeff to go get one, and even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. He'd be like, you don't need that sugar. I'm like, yes, I do.
Whatever. The baby needs it.
The baby needs it.
Okay, so she met up with some friends around 1 o'clock at a local Max, and then she started walking home. So she was abducted near the Barrhaven Via Rail station, which I've been to so many times, which is crazy.
God.
And she wasn't seen again.
That's okay. I remember being 18. I remember being younger than 18 and walking around my town at 1:00 at night. And, obviously back then you think you're invincible. Like, you don't worry about that.
I was the opposite because, I mean, one, I was like really into true crime stuff and I was like, oh my God, people get killed all the fucking time. And like, it's terrifying. And two, my mom was so overprotective. She would have murdered me if I went anywhere.
I don't think I got into true crime until I was like a little tiny bit older. And I feel like I was just so naive when I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
Thinking like, I mean, I was like a fat little kid. Like, who's gonna want to object to this? Like,
stop.
My self-esteem was so bad.
Yeah.
So I thought I was fine.
Oh no.
But yeah, like, I'm going to be that helicopter mom now because I know as a kid the shit that I did.
Yeah. No, my mom was so overprotective of all of us, which like honestly was kind of annoying at the time, but I get it.
Yeah.
Now, like,
especially with stories like this. Good Lord. But yeah, my heart breaks because I remember being that 18-year-old walking around at night thinking like this is the life.
Yeah.
And thinking you're safe.
Nothing's ever gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common though. Like when you're a teenager or like young 20s, whatever, you pretty much think that you're invincible.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you're not.
No.
There's really bad people out there. Random shit happens all the time. Like,
yeah.
Just gotta pay attention. So 10 days after she went missing, her naked body was discovered in a wooded area off of Moody Drive in Barrhaven. In just like really, like she was covered in brush and like stuff like that. So the community was in a panic, not knowing who her killer was and fearing for their own lives as well as their children.
Especially Barrhaven. That is such a tight community. Like,
it really is. And there's so many kids in that community. Like
it's such a young, it's such a young, new community.
Parts of it are new, but other parts
yeah. I would still consider it's fairly new. Like even the older parts of Barrhaven. Like,
yeah.
And it's so like there's so many people. Oh my God, yeah, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, they were terrified. So for 8 months,
God.
Didn't know who did it. So police were obviously like canvassing. They were interviewing a bunch of people. No idea. On June 9th, 2006, 24-year-old Kevin Davis ran onto Fallowfield Road, which is a really busy road.
It's very busy. Yeah.
Completely naked. And he was yelling, "I killed Jennifer Teague," over and over and over again. He like, I guess almost got hit by a car when he was doing it.
He must have had like a psychotic break or something. Jesus.
It was drugs.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah. So he was brought to a nearby hospital where he denied the murder, even though he was just screaming about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then a few days later, he confessed to an off-duty officer, and then he was arrested for the murder. In a news conference, it was announced that he had been high on magic mushrooms when he ran onto the street. So that explains that behavior.
Yep.
So Davis revealed that he had been searching for a young girl to abduct, rape, and murder for about a week.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
Just a week? I feel like that went deeper. I feel like if that was his first kill, he'd probably been obsessing about that but I guess looking for the right victim for a week. That's a long time. Fuck.
So he said that Teague just happened to be like in the wrong place at the wrong time. Basically. It was just like a random, he saw the opportunity and took it.
Fuck. I mean, I don't want to say like a targeted murder is better, but that just makes it so
just
scary.
More heartbreaking. Yeah. Like,
right. To just know that like you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time for someone to be like, this is my opportunity. Like,
yeah. So he said that he wanted a younger victim because he thought that they would be easier to control, which is just, oh my God, horrible.
I'm so glad this guy got caught after his first murder because,
yeah. I put that, like, I can't stress enough how important it is if you're walking alone at night not to like put headphones in. I don't know if she had headphones in or anything, but like be aware of your surroundings. Even in the day, like people get mugged in the day. Like,
oh yeah.
It's just, oh my God, it's terrifying.
I know it's tempting, especially too with like AirPods. Like you think, oh, no one's even gonna notice that I'm wearing headphones, but yeah, that's not the point. The point is that you can't hear.
But yeah, like you could not hear somebody running up behind you to try to like grab you or anything. Yeah, it's just you got to be aware.
Yeah.
Apparently, Davis brought Teague to his house and strangled her to death. There were a couple of like conflicting things that I read. One of them said that he did rape her, but I don't think he actually did. And the reason that I don't think he did was because his mom was in the room next to them sleeping. because he lived at home with his mom.
Oh, I mean, he could have post-murder.
Yeah, I don't think that he did, though, because it was only one source that said that he did.
Oh, okay.
And then the other one said that he couldn't because his mom was there, which, like, for her sake, I hope to God that able to.
Could you? Oh, that poor mom.
I know.
Just knowing that happened. I mean, poor everybody involved except for the fucking guy.
Yeah. So after he strangled her, he brought her to a trail 5 kilometers from his house. It's called the Lime Kiln Trail, which is just off Moody.
Oh my God. I hiked that when we first moved here. It's a gorgeous trail.
There's
had no idea.
A lot of gorgeous trails in
like,
the Moody area. Like, there's so many pretty ones.
Oh, it was really nice.
Yeah. So sorry I ruined that one for you.
Never going back. No. I won't let him ruin it.
Yeah. So in an interview, Davis's mother reported that he had never been in trouble with police before the crime. She said that they moved to Ottawa from Kingston when he was 9 years old. She said that he was bullied growing up for his weight, and he went through a, quote, Marilyn Manson period. Which
oh, no.
Same.
And, like, but also with his allegations coming out with Marilyn Manson now. Not a great role model.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which I think everybody knew back then. I mean, back in, like, the 90s or 2000s, it was, like, people who idolize Marilyn Manson, you looked at them a little sideways.
I mean, like, I don't want to judge anybody.
No.
Because I was one of these humans. Like, I loved Marilyn Manson when I was like a teenager.
I didn't love him, but I did like that song, Beautiful People.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, like, they're definitely, it's a strange crowd.
Yeah.
that listens to Marilyn Manson. Generally speaking, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that because I was one. So during his Marilyn Manson period, he started hanging out with a more alternative crowd. He and his mom started clashing a bit more, but she reported that he was never physical with her. It was just like arguments they would get in. She said that one time he punched a wall, but that was the extent of anything like physical that he had ever done. He never touched her. He never did anything to her.
Honestly, that sounds pretty typical teenage boy. Like there's nothing there that would have raised any red flags that you were raising a psychopath, like or a sociopath,
just,
or
like
whichever.
Up, like aggression.
Yeah, I mean, when
you're a teenager,
yeah,
that's what you have.
I probably would have punched a wall if I wasn't scared of like breaking my hand.
His mother reported that in 2004, 2005, he started improving. So he started dating, his self-esteem was improving, and he started losing weight. In the weeks before Jennifer Teague's murder, he had lost his job at Home Depot due to tardiness, and he made an announcement over the PA system that offended a customer. I don't know what that was, but I'm very curious to hear.
Me too.
And then he also, the relationship with him and his long-distance girlfriend ended. She lived in Montreal, so I guess they like saw each other quite often. But
so it's like a domino effect of just shitty things.
Yeah. And then his pet kitten died suddenly, which apparently like really, really upset him. Which I get it, but also just cry. Like,
don't murder a poor innocent girl. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Davis blamed his anger on all of these factors, and ultimately that's what caused him to murder Jennifer Teague.
Fucking bullshit. You're a psychopath.
It's not an excuse.
No.
There's never an excuse for murdering somebody.
There's never, yeah.
So Teague's stepmother said in an interview to the Ottawa Citizen, quote, "He gave no reason, nothing. It was senseless, totally senseless." So apparently during the trial, he like showed zero remorse. Like didn't cry, no emotion, literally nothing. And then he ended up pleading guilty to first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for at least 25 years.
Good.
So that's good, at least.
Yeah.
Her stepmother, Sylvie, so Jennifer Teague's stepmother, Sylvie, she's written a book about the murder in hopes that it will help other victims of violence heal. Because I guess it was really like therapeutic for her and
that's
and
good.
her dad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because like it came out of nowhere for that poor family. Like
it was completely random.
Yeah.
But I remember this happening. Like I remember hearing her name in the news a lot.
Really?
Like I was younger. What year is this? 2005. Yeah. So I
yeah.
was in like, elementary school, but
yeah, I was 15, so I wouldn't have been paying attention to that. Really.
Yeah. Like I remember hearing her name, but obviously my parents didn't want me to read up on all of this when I was 10, 12.
Ugh. That's brutal. Like it's not even like her family or the victim could have seen like warning signs and done anything.
Nothing.
I mean, and even talking about my previous stories, it doesn't matter if you know the warning signs. Like
yeah, like it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one really, like when I was looking into it, I was like, okay, I don't blame my mom for being super overprotective with me. Like she didn't even let, like my brothers are like 6 feet tall, whatever. Like they're like not tiny men, and they live, they did live at home. They worked at a restaurant, so they would work like really late hours or whatever. And my mom would literally stay up or like sleep on the couch and wait for a text for them to be done at like 1 a.m. And she would go pick them up because she didn't even want my brothers walking home. Like, I don't blame her for any of that.
My mom was
like, that would be me.
My parents were like that too. So like when I got my first job and I was still in high school, I would take the bus after school because I worked like a town away from where I lived because I fucking hated the town I lived in and I wanted nothing to do with it. So I would take the bus to school. I would take the bus from school. It would be like a 30-minute bus ride. And then I would work from like 5 to 9 was my hours. And then, my parents would always pick me up at like 9:30, whenever I got out. Like they never made me take the bus. I think I had to take the bus home once because I can't remember why they couldn't pick me up. And I was so scared. But they always picked me up after work. They didn't make me bus home. And then eventually I could start taking my mom's car because she would get home early enough. So it was good.
Yeah. No, I remember I used to work like really close to where I lived. And we closed at 6, I think, most nights.
Lucky.
And I would walk home because I was like, whatever. But I remember one winter I was walking home and a guy stopped me like in like a dark spot of walking home.
No.
And he was just asking what time it was. And I almost went to reach for my phone to look for it. And I was like, no, don't reach for your phone. So I was like, I don't know. I think it's like 6:15. And then he was like, okay. And then I like ran home. I was like,
I don't blame you.
Like, I'm sure it was fine. Like he seemed very nice, but
I just feel like
the chance.
Like, it could have been fine. I just feel like I think men should just learn not to ask women questions.
Yeah. Like I was like, what, an 18-year-old girl at the time? Like, don't stop me in the middle of the night.
Most men have watches.
Middle of the night. It was 6:00.
That's middle of the night for me. No, like, I remember, it kind of reminds me of a story of like, I don't remember how old I was, probably 12. No, I think I was exactly 12 because I might cover this murder in a future one. Because there was a girl in my town who was like your story. She was 12 though. She was just randomly kidnapped and murdered. And she was the same age as me. She went to a different school, like in the same kind of town. So I didn't know her, but I remember seeing all the missing posters for her. And so after all of that had happened, I remember I lived across the street from this church. So me and my friend would play in the parking lot a lot or climb the trees. And we were playing in that parking lot. And this guy in a minivan pulled up and he came and he was like, flagged us over. So stupidly, we kind of went over and he was like asking us directions, like 12-year-olds. He was trying to be like, where's this street? We're 12. Like, I don't even know what street I live on. Like, I mean, I did, but you know what I mean? Like, and I think at that moment, my friend was going to go up because he had like a map. My friend was going to go up. And then I think something in my brain just went stranger danger because my parents had obviously been like telling us after that poor girl's murder. And I just like, I grabbed her and we screamed and ran. And then my parents called the cops and stuff because it was sus. Like, you don't ask a 12-year-old directions.
No. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And he was like this old man in a minivan. Yeah. I mean, like you said, it could have been innocent, it could have been nothing, but
it could have not been innocent.
Yeah. Just don't ask women's questions that you can now Google. Like everyone has a fucking phone. I know back then, but leave us alone. Leave us women alone. Please. We don't want to talk to you.
We never want to talk to you.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. Like, the other day I had run out of windshield wiper fluid. So I was at the gas station and I bought some and I popped my hood and I was just there. And I like, after I'd filled my gas and I was like, I'm just going to do it right here. And I didn't notice that there was like this man standing, like leaning up against the side of the gas station until it was too late. Cause I think I would have left cause I didn't want an audience. And so I'm just refilling the windshield wiper fluid. It's not a hard thing to do. I don't need a man's help. Like I'm capable of it.
Yeah.
And he, like, as I'm popping the hood, he's like, oh, do you need a hand? And that's when I was like, oh shit, there's someone there. And so I was like, no, thank you. I've got this. And, and I did have it all pretty well up until the end when I was trying to get the hood down. But the little, like this, the stick thing you use to prop it up, it got stuck.
Oh.
And I was like trying to get it out. And I was like, I knew he was just staring at me being like, now I gotta go rescue this woman. And I could hear him slowly approach me. And as I finally get it out, I didn't even like click it back in. I just shoved my hood down and I got in my car. And he's like, God. I thought I would have to help you. And I'm like, no, I'm perfectly fine. Thanks.
You're like, no, I already told you to leave me alone.
Yeah. Like, just, first of all, no. If I needed help, I would have been like, okay, now I need help. But no. And then I was clearly like, fuck, I'm so uncomfortable. I can hear him like starting to get close to me. Like,
yeah.
It's sad that we're scared of stuff like that when maybe his intentions were to just be nice. Okay, so that episode was obviously hella depressing. So I'm going to tell you a very unfortunately funny story for you, but horrifying story for me that happened today. And I was going to text you about it. And I was like, no, I'll save it for the podcast.
I'm so excited.
So have you seen those pictures of like Roombas that... where you have a dog and they poop and then the Roomba roll.
Oh no.
So luckily it wasn't dog poo, but it was a dog puke.
Oh.
And so my Roomba turns on at 9:30 every morning. That's my alarm, is my Roomba. I know, I'm so blessed to have a Roomba. My mom bought it for me for Christmas. And so my Roomba goes off and then, I go downstairs to have breakfast. I guess at some point my dog barfed during that time, but I don't know. If anyone has a Roomba, they're kind of loud. So I didn't hear it. And then Roomba, she doesn't make it back to her name is Rosie. I personified it.
The Jetsons?
Yes! Rosie from the Jetsons.
I love it.
So Rosie died. I heard her. She goes, doo, 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 doo. And then it goes, please charge Roomba. So I heard her die. So I go over to get her to put her back on her base. And I just see a crime scene. And I guess my dog had puked in the laundry room. Oh, and Roomba decided to track it everywhere.
Oh, God.
Through the laundry room and into the kitchen. And luckily, though, she died fairly quickly after rolling over the puke. So
this sounds horrible. She died fairly quickly.
Well, I'm glad it didn't track all over the house. I wanted to cry. I think I actually might have cried.
I would.
A little bit of like...
I would have been like, Michael, you need to come home from work because I cannot deal with this.
Luckily, I'm past the stage where everything makes me vomit now. Yeah. So, but I did get a little queasy because
You don't need to be pregnant to get queasy from cleaning up dog puke.
Yeah. So that was my morning this morning. So Roomba's had a full spa day. She's back to factory settings, but I'll never be the same.
My God.
Yeah, I thought I'd share that story to lighten it up because that's how my day went.
So gross.
Because I remember seeing like so many of those pictures of Roombas like going over dog poo and like just treading it through the house and being like, ew, that's so gross. That'll never happen. Like, 'cause my dogs never poop in the house. Like, but they puke sometimes.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Gross.
So if you're having a bad day, just remember.
Think of you.
Yeah. Imagine me cleaning my Roomba, like swearing because I was so mad.
I bet.
My poor dog. And like, I feel bad because it's like, oh, it's not your fault. You had a bobo tummy. Like, that's what I say. You have a bobo tummy. Like, because she does. Our one dog has a really sensitive stomach. So sometimes she'll just puke. But usually I'll catch it and she'll get outside.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to get mad because it's not her fault. Yeah. But I'm also just like, of all the places to puke and of all the times Roomba had to go over there.
Just preparing you for kids.
That's what Jeff said. Or I said to Jeff, at least. I said, well, I'm ready for a kid now.
Fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Mm-hmm. So if you have a Roomba and dogs, just think that through.
Yeah, big time. Alrighty. Well, what's on the docket for next week? Our psychic
one. Yeah, we had mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about that. I think this is kind of this episode's gonna kind of go back to almost the original format because I think it's just mostly you talking. I don't have a lot of psychic stories, so
pretty much. Yeah, I have two.
Mm-hmm.
Two. Yeah, like 1.5. And then my aunt is gonna send me over her stories because she's been to quite a few mediums, and it's like insane. That's cool. I love her stories so much.
I can't wait to hear. I have one psychic story, and it was like a mall psychic, and it was not great. But I'll chime it in.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Even the bad psychic stories I love.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are you doing? How are you making money from this?
Right. I have to say though that like she kind of wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. Yeah, I'll save it for the episode.
Okay,
Let's just say my psychic wasn't wrong. Or not completely wrong.
Excited.
Yeah.
Should be a good one.
It should be. So if you like psychics, mediums, if you don't, still listen. Also,
subscribe, still like us.
Please continue to rate, review, subscribe if you can. It really helps us out.
It's so exciting seeing them too. It's like,
look at that. You like us? Even if you don't, I don't care. Tell me.
Well, I mean, still like do 5 stars, but
yeah, you can do 5 stars, but you can tell me how much you hate my voice or if I swear too much.
Just like DM us on Instagram.
Yeah. Just know it'll make me cry. So if that brings you any joy.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right then. Until next time, guys.
Keep on creeping on.